Hey there, I'm at the last final image for a comic book that I'm wrapping up, and I want to share with you a real quick hack that I used for creating an image that I had in my head of a very picturesque scene in the fall along the River Charles in Boston, and I found the perfect photograph to copy off of to create the image in my done by hand on the page itself on the Bristol board, but the problem is it wasn't quite the right proportion. So I'm using elements in that photograph, like across the river, the buildings and the park bench, leaving all that more or less intact, but changing the location of the trees that are on the left and on the right. And in this real quick tutorial, I'll show you in Photoshop how you can just down and dirty take a photograph, cut it up, rearrange the elements into a better composition, and then finally literally taking the board. This is the progress so far. I have it penciled in, literally taking this and laying it on top of my computer screen and tracing out all the essential elements here, so that what I have as a finished result is a page that I can start penciling with more detail and look at the image on my computer screen of the mock-up that I created as a reference. And as I work more and more into this, this will be more and more like my creation with my hand, but using, essential time and labor-saving elements that are found in the photograph. Without any delay, let's take a look at how I was able to do that in Photoshop. And here I'm showing you a scene I want to put in the back of my comic book, which is set in Boston, Massachusetts, and I wanted a picture of a famous river, River Charles, and a park bench, and I love this photo, and I can't use the photo as it is because it's copyrighted, of course, but I'll make an artistic interpretation of it with my my own drawings and such. But what I need to do is to create a mock-up, and what I want to do is to basically keep the skyline here and move the trees around, and just basically make a mock-up that is the right proportions. Like a comic book page is very, very strongly vertical. Okay, it's roughly 6 and 5/8 by 10 and a quarter, I think, is the size of a standard comic. And this image is certainly not that proportion. And I like parts of the image, and I think it can be improved upon. So let's go right ahead and work up a mock-up of this. First thing I do is turn this into an image where the background will be transparent. So let's go ahead and first of all make it the image canvas size. We'll add to the top here. I have the check mark of we're talking about relative size, and then we'll go in percent. Okay, we'll make it say 150% higher. Okay, hit the OK button, and I'll center it again. See, now that's what I did to the image. And then what I'll do here is I'll take my lasso tool and I'll select the right tree here. I'm going to move the tree and I'm going to keep everything else. So again, this is going to be a mock-up, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Then I right click the tree once I got it, and I'll make a layer via cut. Okay, so I just created a layer with just that. We go back to the old layer I was at, and now it's missing the tree. So let's cut out the other tree with the same lasso tool. Okay, keeping the skyline, kind of staying close to the trunk there, and then connect the dots there. Now when you got the marching ants, you can now right click, layer via cut for that. Now I got 3 layers. Okay, got the layer with the left tree, layer with the right tree, and then just the background here. Now what I'll do here with the background, I'll go ahead and select that layer, move it up, and let's just make the sky back here go on forever and ever and ever. I'll carefully pick with the rectangular marquee a strip of it, and this time I'll just do layer view copy. Okay, let me shut that off, and now I got just this layer here. I want to keep it the same horizontally. I don't want it to move, so I'm holding down the Option and Shift key on a Mac, and what that'll do is create a duplicate of it, but the Shift key won't allow me to move it up and down. If I move my mouse a little bit over to the right, I now made a new one, and now I'll hit Control E. Now I made it. I've combined those two layers. I made it into another one. So we'll just repeat the process. Option Shift again to make another one, and then Control E. Maybe go to the left this time. You see what I'm doing? I'm just making this more and more of it. Until it covers the whole width of the page. One more time, I think. There we go. Oops, didn't do it. There we go. All right. Then let's go right ahead and select the top half of this here, this single layer, and we'll hit the paintbrush, and I'll take the Option button and I'll color pick the very top of that blue, and we'll fill the top half here with a blue. There. Then we'll take this layer and move it to the background, and maybe lock that layer so it doesn't move. Now I got the city of Austin here. In fact, I'll unlock that. I'll take the city as I have it and merge that together. There. Okay. Now I have that. Now I get to my left tree, and what I'll do here is I'll zoom in, and I'll remove a lot of that blue sky, just enough to, make it more clear. I have a tolerance set at 48 with the magic wand tool, and oops, I'm sorry. I do this all the time. I was on the wrong layer. Okay, now I'm on the correct layer. Here we go. Now I've selected a whole bunch of that blue sky by clicking on it. We'll hit delete. And I'm not going to get obsessive with this, just, move around and definitely get the stuff on the outside to make it fairly transparent. Okay. Good. So I did that one. Now let's do the other tree. I'll zoom into that. Okay, I got the magic wand tool out again. We'll click on this blue. Clicking on it and hitting the delete key, which is erasing most of the sky. Here's a chunk right here. And I have my tolerance set at 48. You have to play with your tolerance to make sure you're selecting just the right amount, not too much, not too little. Okay. And now we're good. We can go ahead and zoom out again. And now I got my left tree, I got my right tree, and I have the city. I'll move the right tree up a bit, click on the left tree. Okay, so I got my elements here. Now what I want to do is make something that is very, very tight and vertical, okay, like a comic book page. And what I'll do with that then, we will place, you go to File, Place, Embedded, and I have on my folder marked Tips and Tools, you can't read this because the Photoshop is whiting out this a lot, but I can read it on my screen. What I'm looking for is comic cover. Where did it go? Hold on here. Comic cover with bleed. Here we go. Okay. So I'll place that. There we go. And I'm not worried about the proportion. As you can see, it's way too small. Let's think only about that park bench, and I like the grass on the ground, and play around with that a little bit. And what is this exactly? This is a layer I created that is a rectangle that has the right proportions, but with a little extra for the bleed. So if you look to the inside of this rectangle is the size of a comic book page. Including that gray area on the outside, that's the bleed. And that's where the printing company will take the color, let it go off, and they'll trim that off. Most often a cover is certainly, and sometimes the back cover does not have a white edge all the way around. It has color, so you need to have a bleed. All right, so I explained that. Let's turn on the other layers now. And we'll take the left tree here, move it down, but I can also increase its size. I want to create a nice kind of tranquil, peaceful place in the park. I'm simply grabbing the little white boxes there. You can resize. In this version of Photoshop, it automatically proportionally resizes. If you hold down the Shift key, then you can stretch it and change its sizes. Let's turn on that comic book cover that's on the top layer here again. Okay, not sure if you can see it, but this thing here that's laying on top of all these other layers. And I just kind of play around with stuff until I got something that I like. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And I got the tree trunks in there, and the I think that's called the Prudential Building. Let me zoom into it and I'll show you what I mean. I got the Prudential Building on the right. That's framed in there. That's a very iconic Boston skyscraper. And the other buildings as well. And then the park bench. Ultimately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my main character. She's sitting on the park bench kind of contemplating her future and whatnot. So I think I'm happy with that, with the placement and everything. And what I'll do then is we'll shut off that comic book cover layer, and we'll just go ahead and merge visible. Okay. So all that's now on one layer. Then we'll turn the comic cover back on, and I'm going to select anywhere outside of that. Okay, here, I'll show you what I mean. I'm selecting anywhere outside of that. Okay. And then I select the inverse and crop the image. There we go. I'll blow that up there and show it to you. I don't need the bleed layer anymore, so we can go ahead and just throw that away. And there's a little bit of transparency on the bottom here, that's fine. But this is a real good, fast, down and dirty way of mocking up a page to be more what you need to have in the comic book. And I'll show you. Let's see here. Okay, here's my PDF of my finished comic book. Okay, there's the front cover, okay? And as you read the comic, there it is on the inside. Let's go right to the end now. And there's my version of it. Basically, I did everything I showed you in this tutorial once before, and it's roughly the same process. And what I'm going to do there is blow this up so that I'm literally taking a sheet of my Bristol board and taping it to my computer screen and tracing out the essential elements here using my All right then. I hope you enjoyed watching that walkthrough. Again, it was real simple, real easy, not using a whole lot of tools in Photoshop, but I think that it's a real effective way of kind of mapping out a page and mocking it up so that you have something a little more suitable as a reference. Once again, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more and more tutorials about the comic book making, and make sure to hit that like button. I will see you again the next time.